About 40 Afrikaner families headed by Karl Boshoff bought the dilapidated town of Orania for around 1.5 million rand. What's up guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's Tish. I hope you guys are well. Today's video is going to be about Orania. Orania is one of South Africa's most controversial towns, and we will be discussing it in today's video. Hope you guys enjoy. Please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. So Orania is a semi-autonomous Afrikaner town in the middle of South Africa. It is located along the Orange River in the Karoo region of the Northern Cape province. The town is split in two halves by the R369 and is 871 kilometers from Cape Town and 680 kilometers from Pretoria. Okay, let's discuss the purpose of this town. So the purpose of such a town being created in South Africa was to preserve the Afrikaner culture and heritage and to be self-reliant. All jobs from management to manual labor are done by residents. Outsiders are not permitted to work unless they have skills no resident has, but obviously as you move into the town you'll find a job there if you're Afrikaans. Critics accuse the town authorities of rejecting the Rainbow Nation concept and trying to recreate apartheid South Africa within a white ethno-state. Residents argue that they wish to preserve the Afrikaans culture, heritage and protect themselves from crime. They also reject the white label as meaningless and rather identify as third Afrikaners. Newcomers often say their decision to move to Orania was motivated by a decision to avoid violent crime. It is situated along the Orange River and it has been developed as a stronghold for Afrikaans culture and Afrikaner as people who wish to exclusively preserve their language and identity. It is a place where anyone who identifies themselves as an Afrikaner is welcome to live, no matter what race you are. The stated aim of the town is to create a strong hold for Afrikaner minority group, the Afrikaans language and the Afrikaner culture. The town and residents state that anyone who defines themselves as an Afrikaner and identifies with Afrikaner ethnicity, culture, language is welcome to live in Orania. So I will be leaving a couple of interviews and another video I watched yesterday when I was busy doing research for this video, linked in the description box if you want to go check those out later. Right. Orania was founded on about 10 houses spread apart over 3,000 hectares and was bought from the South African government by Karl Boshoff in 1990, when the government of Frederick de Klerk was entering into a constitutional negotiation with the African National Congress to repeal the remaining apartheid laws. Orania was the embryo of the Volksstaat, a state for Afrikaners, and is currently inhabited by a majority Afrikaans population and members of one of the Dutch Reformed churches. The area where Orania is situated has always had inhabitants for about 30,000 years ago. This is proof of the San people who may have occupied the land. The earliest indication of the presence of Afrikaner people in Orania dates back to 1762, and in the early 19th century, many farmers moved seasonally back and forth across the Orange River in search for better grazing. In 1963, the Department of Water established the town of Vleieterskraal in 1963 to house the workers who were building the irrigation canals connected to the Vanderkloof Dam. It was part of a bigger scheme to bring water to the semi-desert central parts of South Africa. The Department of Water Affairs changed the name to Orania, a variation of the Afrikaans word Oranje, referring to the adjoining river, after it was chosen in a competition. By 1965, it was home to 56 families. Colored workers who participated in the construction project lived in a separate area named Grote Gewacht. The first phase of the irrigation project was completed in 1976. After the dam was completed, most of the workers moved away and the town fell into disrepair. The department completely abandoned Orania, and in 1989, though some colored people continue to stay on in Grote Gewacht. Now let's talk about how we get to Orania today. So it's most known that Afrikaans people are known to be self-reliant, to be self-determined, and it is evident throughout their history, from the Slagters Nek Rebellion to the Voortrekkers abandoning their homes in the Cape Colony and undertaking the Great Trek in 1837 to live beyond the reach of the British colonial administration, then again refusing to live under British rule completely. Establishment of various other free Boer republics, the First and Second Boer Wars, the guerrilla campaigns of Bitterreinder, the 1914 Maritz Rebellion, and the policy of separate development all indicated a strong drive for Afrikaner self-determination. So obviously, with the Free Republic of South Africa looming, the Afrikaans once again began to form their own idea of creating their own nation in South of Africa. All of this, with little issues, turns here and there, led to May 1984, which saw the establishment of the Afrikaner Volkswacht, an organization founded by Karl Boshoff, a right-wing academic and the son-in-law of former South African Prime Minister Hendrik Verwoerd. Believing that a black majority rule could not be avoided, he supported the creation of separate smaller states for the Afrikaner nation. Instead of 1988, Boshoff founded the Afrikaner Vryheidsstichting, Afrikaner Freedom Foundation, or AFSTIG. The founding principles of the AFSTIG were based on the belief that since a black majority rule was unavoidable and European minority rule morally unjustifiable, Afrikaners would have to form their own nation or Volksstaat in a part of South Africa. Orania was intended to be the basis of the Volksstaat, which would come into existence once large numbers of Afrikaners moved to Orania and other such growth points, and would eventually include the towns of Presika, Britstown, Carnarvon, Willistown, and Calvinia, reach of the West Coast. The nation obviously didn't happen because of the economics was very broad, and it would take a very long time, and most Afrikaners would opt not to move to the Volksstaat, so it became a town established in 1990. This was to give the option to Afrikaans people to protect their heritage and culture and language, and anyone who believes that they are Afrikaans is more than welcome to move there. In December 1990, about 40 Afrikaner families headed by Karl Boshoff bought the dilapidated town of Orania for around 1.5 million rand. In April 1991, the first 13 inhabitants moved into Orania. At that time, the town consisted of 90 houses and 60 in Klein Geluk, all in grave state of disrepair. The government of FW de Klerk did not support the creation of this town. He took no action towards removing the town. He believed it would fail on its own in the early stages. The town was still in the beginning phases and relied on the towns around it for food, and as of 1995, a temporary local government was elected after the abolishment of apartheid government in 1994. Construction on an irrigation system scheme to cover 400 hectares area began in 1995 and was completed in October 1996. In a conciliatory gesture, President Nelson Mandela visited the town in 1995 to have tea with Betsy Verwoerd, widow of former Prime Minister Hendrik Verwoerd. Orania grew to 200 permanent residents by 1996, and by 1998, 15 million rand had been invested into the town for expenses including upgrading of water and electricity supply, roads and businesses. On the 14th of September 2010, the President of South Africa, Jacob Zuma, visited Orania. He said that he was warmly welcomed and that Orania had an interesting idea, and that the Oranians were prepared to live in South Africa but wanted a place to exercise their culture. In the early 90s, a survey was done on the Afrikaans people about this Afrikaans state. There was not a lot of support from the Afrikaans people about this state, and they said that Volksstaat or Orania was a pipe dream and wouldn't happen. A similar survey was done recently, and over 50% of people said they would move there due to the low crime rate. The simple living and the environmentally friendly way of living was praised, and how much growth and support the town has gained over the last 2 decades has increased. In 2018, the Afrikaans trade union Solidariteit and AfriForum named Orania as one of their 30 anchor towns to which Afrikaner migration should be encouraged, with the aim of becoming a majority population in these areas, making self-determination possible. Frustrated by corruption in South Africa and the underperformance and perceived racism of the ANC government, Solidariteit launched its own We Will Do It Ourselves campaign in October of 2020. Supposedly the largest Afrikaner mobilization effort in 118 years. The aim is to circumvent the government and provide educational training and social services for the Afrikaans communities. Solidariteit has been accused of trying to create parallel states in South Africa. By 2020, as the perception grew that South Africa was approaching failed state status, the idea of an Afrikaner self-determination was again gaining popularity. In October 2020, the Freedom Front held a series of conferences in Afrikaner self-determination, whose speakers were Koos Malin, Flip Byers, Dion Geldenhuys, Peter Mulder, Davie Rood and Corneille Mulder, as well as speakers from Orania, Karel Boshoff and Wynand Boshoff and Frans de Klerk, and concluded that the government cannot provide the needs of Afrikaners and that a different form of self-determination must be pursued. I don't know what happened at the end of that video. I don't know why my voice got so deep, but moving on. Finally, Orania today. They have a good education system, they have a high matric pass rate, they started distance learning way before the pandemic, and they are working on a university. The education system is growing, and the demographics have shown since 1990, with just a few families, to the local census carried out in 2020, finding 2,066 inhabitants in 831 households. According to town authorities, the population had grown by 12.2% annually, much higher than the South African average of 1.3% a year. Male residents outnumbered females by 60% to 40% in 2011. Afrikaners were the main population group at the time of 2011 census, representing 97% of the total. Afrikaans is the only language used in all spheres of local life. According to a 2014 census carried out by town authorities, Afrikaans is the main language spoken at home for 95% of the residents, followed by English with 2%, with speakers of both English and Afrikaans making up the remaining 3%. Orania's economy is growing very well, with about 244 businesses were registered in Orania in 2019. Town leaders reported annual economic growth is in excess of 11%. In contrast, South Africa's growth rate of 2019 was 0.2%. In the same year, the Guardian newspaper reported that Orania is booming. In 2020, Dirk Herman, the leader of the Solidarity Trade Union, reported that after a visit to Orania was growing so rapidly that he could hear it grow. And that is it for today's video, guys. I do hope you guys enjoyed it. Please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and go to the thing below and find all my links for my social medias, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you for watching. Have a good one. Bye.